Thank you for listening to the Conformed to Christ podcast, where we seek to engage the mind, affect the heart, and call people to follow Christ. I'm Jay Jones. I'm here on a text-driven Tuesday with George Mays. Hello.
Hello, Jay.
Text-driven Tuesday, if you're new to the podcast, we go through the sermon that was preached on Sunday, and George is continuing in his Hebrews series. It'll be this one and 3 more Sundays until he gets through with chapter 2 before he takes a break. So we're picking back up in chapter 1, and it's a really good sermon, good stuff that we're learning, and it's probably really good that you decided to divide up the 2 sermons.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking when I know what I was thinking. Verses 5 through 14 are all about Jesus being superior to the angels.
Right.
And so I was trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
But there's just so much.
Well,
there's so much in
if
there.
you were more skilled at using words, you could have done it all.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, I'm joking, but I apparently suffer from the same ailment.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how some people do it. Some people can just communicate things like,
right,
and you really get it. We're not that skilled, so we need 2 weeks.
Well, I can't help but think about, Josh King.
Yeah.
And we've had him on here.
Yeah.
He's very skilled in his communication. The way that he presents things, he can say a lot in a very short amount of time. I think that his sermons are usually more packed than ours.
Yeah.
And his sermons are usually about 20 minutes shorter than ours.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Maybe if we learned to talk like Ben Shapiro, we could get it done.
Oh, no.
Thank you for listening to the Conformed to Christ podcast, where we seek to gauge the mind, affect the heart, and call people to follow Christ.
Yeah.
Could you preach?
That's.
Could you preach like that?
Not lately.
Man.
I have been so exhausted. I'm getting a greater appreciation for the times that Philip leads the music and then preaches.
Yeah.
Because when I'm done,
Tired.
so Philip has been out the last couple of Sundays.
Yeah.
And so I've been leading the music and preaching.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm done, I am just spent. My back hurts, my legs hurt just from standing up the entire time. So I have a greater appreciation. So I'm not going to be preaching, super fast.
You're getting your whole body into that singing, huh?
Uh-huh.
It's like when you're teaching a hitter in baseball. You got to teach them to hit from their toes up so they can use the ground.
Yeah.
You're back there. I see you. You're getting it from the ground up.
Yeah.
And you're getting all of that air flow coming.
So I've been doing Sunday school, doing the music and preaching the last 2 weeks. It takes a little bit out of you, right?
A little bit.
It's good though. I mean, what better way to spend your energy than ministering?
Yeah.
So it's been good, but I am hoping that Philip will be back with us soon.
Calvin, he laughs at you.
Yeah, that's right.
Does this guy preach like 3 sermons a day, like all week long?
Yeah. Spurgeon.
Let's go till morning.
Spurgeon walking to churches in different towns.
Which he was kind of big too. How did he do it? How did he do that?
I don't know. He had gout.
Yeah.
I don't know. These guys were beast. That's all there is.
That's why
to
they
it.
all died young.
Probably. Yeah. Our ailments are minuscule compared to Calvin and all of his different sicknesses that he dealt with.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's jump in here.
Okay.
So last time, you reminded us that kind of what holds these verses together in chapter 1. After we get out of this beginning of this intro, in verses 4 through the end of chapter 1, are that Jesus is superior to the angels. We can clearly see that.
Yeah.
So last time we dealt with Jesus in his kind of like his humanity.
Right.
So we talked about that. This time we're shifting, and we're going to talk about Jesus and his just in his being, his eternal being, his divinity.
Right.
Like who he is as a, I don't know, you can't put it into words. There's no one else in the universe like him because he's the eternal Son, He's existed forever. He is true God. True man, true God. That's the Chalcedonian Creed, right? True God, true man. It's interesting our Sunday school classes are lined up. We didn't plan that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun how that happens.
Well, even
By
even the
accident.
children's Sunday school classes lined up a little bit.
Oh, man, can you
with
imagine
it.
that? Zero planning,
Right.
and it just happens.
Uh-huh.
So strange how that works out. So, just very quickly, maybe tell us, let's say, okay, we're going to be talking about the divinity of Jesus as superior to angels. Why is that important today?
Well, if he's superior to the angels and he's superior because he is God,
Mm-hmm.
then to ignore this is to in just, plain terms, to be stupid. I mean, if he is God,
Yeah.
then he deserves and you owe to him all of your allegiance, all of your worship, all of your obedience, and to ignore that is to reject your only hope.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is your life.
Yeah.
He is the only one who can save you from your sin. He is the greatest treasure of the universe. He's the greatest being who will ever exist. And to ignore that for 70 years here on earth, just doing whatever you want, ignoring this,
Yeah.
and then spending an eternity away from him.
You know what?
This is the most important question.
Yeah.
Like Jesus asked this question in Matthew, to the disciples. Who do you say I am?
Right.
This is the most important question. How you answer this will just have an echoing effect for you for eternity.
Yeah. Now, you're going to encounter it if you're listening today. You will encounter this. That there are people today who do not have the doctrine of who Christ is and his divinity correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so liberals or denominations who have been infiltrated by liberalism, you may go there. I mean, you're talking the Methodist Church, the Lutheran Church. Now, there are a very small minority, a remnant left that actually hold to the Bible and historic Christian creeds and confessions.
Mm-hmm.
But Methodist Church, Presbyterian Church, Lutheran Church, who else am I missing? The Anglican Church?
You can't miss the Episcopalians.
Yes, the Episcopalians, no doubt. Now, in those movements of liberalism have been taken over the past century, they deny the divinity of Christ.
Right.
Many of them outright. Now, they'll try to hold on for some sentimental reasons to certain Christian things like Jesus showed us what it is to be a man who suffers under oppression in order to inspire others to rise up against oppression. Like they'll come up with various strange...
Woke Jesus.
Yeah, you have black liberation theology, which emerges out of South America and Marxist ideologies. But they're reinventing the stuff. And this goes way back to like the father of modern liberalism and these German scholars. They try to hold on to these personal encounters with the divine while denying Jesus' divinity. And it's just completely silly.
Right.
If you don't have the divinity of Jesus, you don't have Christianity. There's no reason. Pack it up, go home. Go play golf on Sunday mornings and do something else with your life.
Yeah.
If you feel like you need, just stop identifying because you're going to give an account for it. Because you are slandering what it means to be a follower of Christ by trying to say you're a Christian and denying Christ's divinity. So that's one way. But there are two others that you brought up in your sermon.
And now, I think I didn't bring up the the liberal side because I don't know if for our congregation that's the biggest threat.
Right.
I think the biggest threat is as persecution arises in America and all of these, quote unquote, Christian religions start to band together.
Right.
And we need to be able to determine
who is
and who isn't.
Right.
I think that maybe is a bigger threat for our congregation.
Yeah.
Not to say that we want to avoid, the liberal denial of the divinity of Jesus. That is a real threat.
Mm-hmm.
But for the people that I was preaching to, I think that The bigger threat is, and I think the Mormons
Right.
really are a big threat, because they really try to push that we're just like you guys.
They try to identify as Christians now.
Right.
They used to not do that.
Uh-huh.
You know, I was it 20 years ago maybe they made a tactical decision.
Yeah.
I think for their branding, marketing and branding to start to call themselves Christians.
Yeah.
That's new for them.
Well, that's in opposition to Joseph Smith
Right.
and their founding, because Joseph Smith, his whole thing was all of the Christian denominations have gone wrong. That they all have gone into heresy. We are the true.
Right.
We're the true church.
Yeah.
So this move to identify closer to evangelicals, is different from their founding.
Yeah.
And but it's going to catch a lot of Christians off guard.
Yeah, well, because they kind of present it like we're just like you. We're Christians. We just have extra teachings that you don't have.
Yeah.
And
You look on their website, and it's you see it, like you see them pushing. We're just like other Christians. We just have another book,
right.
and you really have to dig into it to see what's actually going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's those, and then
Right.
there's also the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
Which they don't have maybe a strong presence down here. I don't know.
There's a couple of Kingdom Halls here in Lawton, but I haven't run into them. We've gotten a couple of, their little flyers that they put in your door. I guess we're always gone when they come through the neighborhood. They're around. I've seen more Mormons.
Yeah.
Probably because they have their their little name tag when they're out. But they're here.
Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely here. They're maybe not there. If you are if you're educated, if you're informed in the scriptures, they're a little bit easier to identify with their false teachings. They're a little more upfront,
right,
with what they say about Jesus, even on their website. So I went directly to jw.org to see what do they actually say, and you can pretty easily see it.
Yeah.
But when you go to churchofjesuschrist.org, which is the Mormon website, it's a little harder. You really have to dig into it.
On their website, the Jehovah's Witness, did they say just outright Jesus was a created being and he's Michael the Archangel?
They do have a section on him being Michael the Archangel.
Okay.
Yeah, I read directly from Who is Jesus?
Yeah.
I read from it yesterday. Jesus, unlike any other human, Jesus lived in heaven as a spirit person before he was born on earth. He was God's first creation.
Yeah. So
they're out front. Yeah.
So
oh yeah.
they're
Arians.
The ancient Arian heresy. So this none of this stuff is new.
No.
It's a very, very old ancient heresy.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got I didn't read everything. I've got quotes from different Jehovah's Witnesses. The expression "Son of God" acknowledges that God is the creator or source of all life, including that of Jesus. Like he's God the Father is the creator of Jesus.
Right.
God created Jesus before he created anything else. So they're up front. If you're if you know what the scriptures teach, you can easily refute Jehovah's Witnesses. I think their tactic is that they have their own translation of the Bible. Yeah. So their New World Translation, where they have actually changed verses. Yeah. John 1:1 is the prime example.
Got to get rid of John 1:1.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how that that helps their case that he's a created being.
Right.
But that's their translation, and you can go through places in Colossians, even places in Hebrews. They've changed some stuff. Yep.
Very, very culty.
Very culty, yeah.
Yeah, super culty.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Mormons, they're a little trickier because they profess that Jesus is divine, that he is deity, that he is the Son of God. But what they mean is that God the Father once was a man.
Yeah.
And he lived on a planet. He obeyed Now there's like this infinite regression of gods. So
Right.
So Yahweh had a god somewhere back there. I think they actually gave him a name in some of their publications. But Yahweh, or Elohim, he was a man. Through his obedience, he became an exalted man. He became a god who got his own planet.
Mm-hmm.
We're living on it. And he had spirit children with a spirit wife.
Yeah.
So Jesus is the Son of God in the same way that I've got sons.
Right.
Right. And they're very upfront about that.
Yeah.
One of them wrote a book. It says there's no need to spiritualize away the plain meaning of the scriptures. There's nothing figurative or hidden beyond comprehension in our Lord's coming into mortality. He is the Son of God in the same sense and way that we are the sons of mortal fathers. It is just that simple.
Yeah. So he's like a demigod. It'd be like Zeus.
Yeah, I mean
having
that would
babies.
I guess that would be the way that we could describe it. That's not how they describe him. He is fully God,
Right.
but he's fully God in the way that not the way that we would say it. Not the way that the scriptures present it.
Right. Yeah.
So even in that, Jesus would not be eternal.
Yeah, he's not eternal.
He would come into being at some point in time.
Yeah.
Which is not what the scriptures present about Jesus.
Right. Not at all.
But you just have to dig into it a little bit more, because the way that they talk about him, it's if you're not paying attention, you'll think,
yeah,
they believe the same things as us. They've just got another book.
Yeah, that's right. So you made this comment that Hebrews is an incredibly powerful place to go to take if you're going to talk with Jehovah's Witnesses, or we could say Mormons as well.
Yeah.
We're going to jump in. I'll have you read the text here in just a second. But just say, why do you think this is such a powerful passage for that purpose?
I think that it simply, unequivocally says that Jesus is Yahweh of the Old Testament. It doesn't. You don't have to. All you have to do is see the text that the author is quoting, and look at it in its Old Testament context,
right?
And you can see what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's saying this text that was addressed to Yahweh applies to Jesus, because he is Yahweh.
Very good. Okay, so let's jump in. I'll have you read. Just start reading in verse 10. So okay. Hebrews 1, verse 10, and I guess read through the end.
All right.
Of the chapter.
Okay. And you, Lord, laid the foundation of the earth in the beginning, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will all wear out like a garment. Like a robe you will roll them up. Like a garment they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will have no end. And to which of the angels has he ever said, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet? Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation?
Okay, good. Good stuff. So you went with 2 points. I'm just curious. You had 3 at first.
Yeah.
What was the third?
Well, I was dividing verses 10 through 12, and I was going to talk about Jesus as creator and then Jesus as, what did I have? What was that other point? I was just dividing it. And as I was looking at it, I was like, I don't really need to divide this. I mean, the psalm holds it all together. He's the creator, and he's just put it all together. He is God. And so I just thought this would be an easier way to hold it together. There's no reason to separate it, because I think that you can see it all together. Right. I mean, if he is the God of the Old Testament, if he's the one true God, that's my point. Then he obviously is the creator. So I didn't think that it added anything extra to help people understand it. Okay.
So last week it was 4 through 9. Jesus is superior to the angels because he's the promised Davidic Messiah, right?
Yeah.
This week Jesus is superior to the angels in his very being.
Right.
In his essence, in his being, and who he is. And you have 2 points here. Jesus is the one true God, and Jesus is glorified along with God. Yep. So first point is taken from verses 10.
I didn't know if maybe you wanted to talk about the angel of the Lord real quick.
Yeah, we can. Let's do it.
We could take forever talking about this, but maybe helpful
just
to talk about it a little bit more. Since we're saying Jesus is greater than the angels, but in the Old Testament you see the angel of the Lord,
yes,
and you and I would both say this is Jesus. And so we want to make sure that we are understanding what's going on in the Old Testament. When we talk about the angel of the Lord, we're not talking about Gabriel.
Right.
We're not talking about created angel. So maybe
or Michael.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe helpful to
because,
distinguish between those.
Yeah. The first place I remember reading this when I was younger and going like, hang on a second, like what's happening here? And the burning bush is, kind of the one where it becomes clear there's some type of switch thing going on.
Yeah.
Or, in the vocabulary there's a switch, but is there really a switch? I don't think so. I think it's just describing the same persons that's there. So when Moses encounters the burning bush, he begins to talk to a person that's there. And the text identifies the person as the angel of Yahweh.
Right.
Like it's you should think of it as the, not an angel.
Yeah.
The, like capital THE, like the president of the United States, the angel of Yahweh. Because there's obviously other angels that come and talk to people.
Yeah.
But the angel of Yahweh is different. And then all of a sudden the text switches and he's talking to Yahweh.
Right.
And you're like, what happened? Where'd the angel of the Lord go? And he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
He's the same person.
Right.
And so people may have read that and they may have been confused. I remember trying to search this stuff out. I didn't have the tools back then to figure this stuff out. But it just becomes apparent the more that the angel of the Lord is encountered that he's talked about as God.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is God. So that may be confusing to people. I think one way to think about it is this. If you just think about God is timeless, uncreated. He is not part of the created world. He's totally other, okay? Now, when God wants to, and it's a condescension, no matter how God reveals himself to us in the created world, it is a condescension on his part. Because he's a good God, he reveals himself to us in ways we can understand and comprehend. Part of that is a physical representation of himself. Now, he has to veil his glory, or else the sinful man would be destroyed by his holiness. And it appears that one way he has done that throughout time is he's appeared to people in a way that they can see him and interact with him. And we believe that is the second person of the Trinity every time that happens. Jesus doesn't start revealing God in the New Testament. Now it becomes explicit in full, but he's revealing God in the Old Testament as well. So we see him there at the burning bush. He appears to Abraham. You had several points of that in your sermon about him speaking with Abraham.
Yeah, I think what this causes you to do is read your Old Testament more carefully.
Yeah,
I think that's what we need to do. There's places God Sarah sends Hagar and Ishmael away, and they are in the wilderness, and the water's gone, and Hagar sends Ishmael away so she doesn't see him die. And it says God heard the voice of the boy, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Lift up the boy and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make him into a great nation." So this is the angel of God saying this. I'm going to do this. That echoes Genesis 12. And then it says in verse 19, then God opened her eyes. Like, you've got the angel, and you're going back and forth between the angel and God.
Yep.
Another place is the sacrifice of Isaac.
Yes.
You've got the angel of the Lord calls to Abraham from heaven and says, "Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only son, from
me."
Right. It's like, all right, who told Abraham to do this?
Right.
It's God. Who's talking to Abraham here?
Mm-hmm.
It's the angel of the Lord. But he refers to it as me. I'm the one that you didn't withhold your hand from. Jacob, he in Genesis 31, it says that the Lord said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you." And when he's telling his wives about it, in verse 11, he says, "Then the angel of God said to me in a dream."
Right.
So they're recognizing that the angel of Yahweh, the angel of the Lord, is Yahweh himself.
Mm-hmm.
So this really helps to shore up our Christology in the Old Testament, that when God speaks to his people, he speaks through Jesus. He speaks through the second person, who always reveals the Father. It's always the Son.
Right.
It's the same in the Old Testament as it is in the New Testament.
Now, the reason why he's not called Jesus is because Jesus is his incarnation.
Right. When we say Jesus, we should be very specifically talking about truly God and truly man.
Right.
Because that's who Jesus is.
Right.
But we often slip into saying Jesus in the Old Testament.
Yeah, Jesus
right?
in the Old Testament. The Word, that's John calls him the Word before he has flesh.
Yeah.
The Word, the eternal Word.
Second person of the Trinity.
Second person
the Son.
The eternal Son, yeah.
Or you can call him the angel of the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how he's revealed in the Old Testament, in Genesis, Exodus. He's in Numbers.
You know what'll really mess up some people's
Judges.
theology, George? You know what's going to really mess up some people's theology?
What's that?
About Jesus. I mean, in his incarnation, he is meek and mild.
Right.
But in the Old Testament, he's very warrior-like.
Right.
And he slays some people.
He's the commander of the Lord's army in Joshua, right?
Yeah.
And Joshua worships him.
Right.
If this was simply an angel, Joshua is committing idolatry on the eve before the Battle of Jericho.
And no angels accept worship ever.
Right.
They don't do it.
One would.
One would. But he's on the punch in the face list too.
Yeah, you've got the devil on your list.
So I had this dream. I had this dream when I was a kid. It's one of the only dreams I've ever had. I've only had a few dreams where Jesus was in my dream.
Okay.
But this one is the end of the world, and I was a child, so it's a childlike dream. And we all get in a big line, and we're waiting in line to meet Jesus, and you get to meet him, and everybody gets to get a hug.
Okay.
So maybe at the end, we all get in the line and punch him punch the devil in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before he gets the old heave-ho.
Yep.
All right.
Maybe we get a little something for Adam as well. Who knows? Good job, buddy. Good job. You had one job. Don't eat of it.
You know, I think this is really good. We've just completely fallen off. Maybe we should just get back into Hebrews.
The angel of the Lord. This was your idea.
Well,
I like the last one. I'm not going to be able to go to it right off the top of my head, but I like the appearance of him in the book of Judges.
Yeah.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
He's talking to Samson's parents.
Well, he's all over the place in Judges. He talks to them in chapter 2. He talks to Israel, and he pronounces judgment against them. Why haven't you listened to my voice? It says the angel of God appears to them, and he says, why haven't you listened to my voice?
Right.
He is the God who gave them the law.
Right.
Who did Moses see up on Mount Sinai?
Yeah.
Whose back was it that he saw? Like it's not the Father, it's the Son. He talks to Gideon.
Yeah.
He talks to Samson's parents.
This is when there's so many connecting verses to this. In John, the beginning of John, no one has ever seen God, the only God. That's speaking of a different person. The only God who is at the Father's side.
Right. There's two persons there.
He
Right.
The one who's at the Father's side, he has made him known.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of taken that, you may just think that only applies to John's gospel and in the incarnation, but it doesn't.
Right.
Because we don't ever see the other persons of the Trinity like appearing to people.
Right.
It seems to always be a Christophany. That's the technical theological term.
Right.
A Christophany, an appearance of Jesus.
Yeah.
Before we don't know how that happens because he obviously, they like eat with them and stuff. He's interacting with the physical realm,
Right.
but he's not a human.
Yeah.
Now that's super important for a whole host of reasons that he's actually a human being.
Yeah.
Which we talked about
There's
some last week.
there is a shift from the Old Testament where he appears in a human form on occasion. But in the New Testament, he actually takes on humanity, and that revelation, it's the escalation and culmination of God's revelation in the Old Testament.
Yes, because God requires a faithful human representative,
Yeah.
and he becomes that.
And his how he can sympathize with us in our weaknesses. That is due to the incarnation. We'll get to this.
Are we
stuff in
already
chapter
30
2.
minutes into this thing and we haven't even talked about the text? Come on. Larry, you're supposed to keep us on track over there, dude. Where's your microphone?
Larry's just enjoying the time, aren't you, Larry?
All right.
All right, so the angel of the Lord is distinct.
Yeah.
So when the angel of the Lord and two angels appear to Abraham in Genesis 18, Abraham, he distinguishes between them.
Yes.
Now, we don't know how, but he knows that one of them is not like the others. And then later in the story, two angels go down to Sodom, and they get Lot out.
Yeah.
But Christ stays with Abraham and talks to him. So there is this distinction. He is not like the others. And then
there's no angel like.
And then in the judgment, the angels are getting Lot out of Sodom, but Yahweh calls down fire from Yahweh in heaven.
Yeah, he does the work. Yeah. All right, so let's jump in. So verses 10 through 12, Jesus is the one true God. That's what you have here. And we don't have to, go all the way through the sermon. I think that's the beauty of the podcast is we can talk about these other things, and rabbit trails, and make applications. But what people may not realize is they could see it like, why is my text set off strange in this fashion?
Yeah.
And it's because it's a psalm.
Right.
And that should give you a clue. And in most Bibles, you can look at these small little letters. There's probably like a small little letter there in like verse 10, and you could follow that, and it'll give you a rabbit trail to hunt down. It's going to take you to Psalm 102.
Right.
So tell us what Psalm 102 is, who it's written to, and what the writer of Hebrews has done with it, and kind of in that fashion. That'll help people to grasp this.
Right.
What is Psalm 102? It's like is it a psalm of lament? Would you categorize it that way? Is it a lament psalm?
Yes. I think that the easiest way to categorize it is with the superscript, which are those block letters at the beginning of many of the Psalms. It's a prayer of one afflicted when he is faint and pours out his complaint before the Lord.
You know what I like about this psalm? We'll jump into to how Hebrews is using it. But what's missing in I think a lot of people's relationship with God today is that they never talk to God like that. If you read Psalm 102, and you could say, I've honestly never talked to God like that, then you're missing out on a vital component of what God not only allows, but would expect from humans living in a fallen world.
Right.
Like, don't be to God the person that, you always got the people that show up to church, and no matter, their life could be falling apart, and they're never going to tell you. They're just going to smile.
Right.
Well, people do that with God too. That's foolish because he already knows everything anyway.
Right.
So don't pretend when you pray to God that everything's sunshine and rainbows, because a lot of times it's not. And that's why I love these type of psalms. And so they're huge. We won't read the whole thing.
And you can do this because you know that God is the one who hears you and will actually answer you. Like, who else are you going to go to?
Right.
You're going to go grumble and complain to a coworker, or to a spouse, to a friend. Take it to God. Yeah. Because the reason you can do this is because he cares about you. Right.
God doesn't read. Well, he probably does read your Twitter post, but that's kind of this is my pet peeve. I'm like, why are you praying on Twitter?
Yeah.
Like for everyone to see.
Right.
I don't need to see your prayers on Twitter. Just you can just go to God without typing the keys in.
Right.
That's just that's like a praying in the street corner thing for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just kind of okay.
It's a little soapbox.
Yeah, it just something seems not right about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Dear God,
I completely agree.
Who scans the Twitterverse for prayers? Hear my prayer as I type the keys.
Right. Well, it's not. Jay. These trails that we're following today.
This is what they're here for, George.
Is it?
They want elaboration upon what you talked about. They don't want to hear the sermon again a second time.
Right.
Take your lament straight to God.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to bottle it up.
Yeah.
You don't have to pretend like everything's okay when it's not. You can lament to God. I mean, even the superscript, and by superscript I mean when you open your Bible and you go to Psalm 102, there's going to be a little title there that the ESV gave to it. Do not hide your face from me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not part of the scriptures. I don't even know why they put those in there. They're not. I've never found them particularly helpful. They just kind of get in the way.
Yeah.
The superscript is all in bold. It's all in cap letters.
Yeah.
A prayer of one afflicted when he is faint and pours out his complaint before the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually in the Hebrew.
Yeah.
It's actually part of the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would assume that it's the psalmist that put it there. I don't think it's a later addition. Probably the psalmist wrote this.
Yeah.
He wants you to know this was the situation I was in, and I prayed to God. And he does this so that you'll be encouraged to do it also.
That's right.
You don't have to act like everything's okay. We live in a fallen world. We're fallen people. We experience trials and we experience afflictions, and we can pray to God.
Yeah, and
this is super important for the way that it's being used in Hebrews because he's writing to Christians who are afflicted.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Who then is it written to? Right.
Right.
What does the text give us?
So the prayer is addressed to Yahweh.
Okay.
The first verse, hear my prayer, O Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see Lord all in caps in the Old Testament, that's the divine name, Yahweh. Let my cry come to you. So he's praying to Yahweh.
All right. Now, I'm going in reverse from your sermon because I think this is going to help really hammer it down. What attributes are attributed to Yahweh in Psalm 102?
Well, he's the God who hears.
Okay.
So you can pray to him, right? You pray to him because you believe he's God. Mm-hmm. He is enthroned forever. So he's the king. He has pity on his people. He's the one to whom all the nations will come and they'll worship him. He will restore Zion. But then in verses 25 through 27, he's the creator. So he laid the foundation of the earth. They'll perish, but you'll remain. So he is self-existent. I mean, he's not dependent upon the created order for food.
Or for existence.
For existence. He didn't create because he was lonely. That all of these things will pass away and God remains.
God is not a contingent being.
Yeah. He doesn't need anything. He simply exists. He simply is.
You ever hear these super confusing words philosophers use? God is he's the necessary being.
Uh-huh.
It's super confusing to me. When I first was reading it, I'm like, why do you guys got to pick such words that are so confusing?
Yeah.
Necessary being, non-contingency. Like, can we just say God is not dependent on anything else in all of the universe for his being?
Well, see, you just use like this long sentence, and they can just use one word.
Yeah, one word that no one knows what
no
it
one
means.
knows.
That's why I love R.C. Sproul, because R.C. Sproul He avoids those words usually,
Yeah.
unless he's talking to a peer.
Right.
So
Yeah.
God. It's the burning bush is a great example of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
God is revealing His aseity.
Yeah.
As this bush is burning, it's not consumed.
Right.
He doesn't. He has no energy source, but his own self.
Yeah.
So
he breaks all the laws of physics.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't expend energy.
Yeah.
He simply is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He doesn't change. They change, but you don't change. You stay the same. Theological word is immutability.
Right.
He's not mutable. He doesn't change
in any way.
In any way.
In a bad or good way.
Mm-hmm.
If he changed in a bad way, it'd be really bad for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
If he changed in a good way, that's also really bad because it means he had some flaw.
Right. He's improving.
He's improving himself.
Right.
Which a lot of people actually believe in that God, George, today. They
right.
believe in
a
God who is changing as time goes on.
Who's learning.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't learn. How can a being that never changes learn anything? He knows everything already.
There's no corridor of time.
Right. Yeah, there's no...
We can't look down and learn.
There's no shift in him. He doesn't have to do correctives. He's not looking to see what you or I are going to do, and he has to shift to, cut that off and make sure that we don't send everything into chaos. He doesn't change. And then he's eternal. Your years have no end. These are all applied to Yahweh here, and they're meant for comfort because you've got this God who he's the creator, he's the sustainer of all things. He doesn't need anything to exist. He doesn't change. He's eternal. This is the God that you want to pray to.
Yeah.
Right. This when you're in the midst of affliction, when you're faint, when you're wearing out because you change, because you are dependent, you are a contingent being.
Yeah.
Right. What do you need? Where's your strength going to come from?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to come from another contingent being?
Yeah.
That's going to wear out too.
Mm.
Well, no, that's not a great option.
And this is
go to the one that doesn't change.
This is a lot of reason why death is so traumatizing for, I think, non-believers.
Yeah.
We're to not mourn like non-believers were told.
Right.
And we shouldn't. It's because a lot of their hope and everything that they are is dependent upon another person who is changing and wasting away.
Mm-hmm.
And when your ultimate hope is in other people and you see them sick and die, you're left with some like catastrophic mental break.
Yeah.
And it's severe mourning.
Goodness, if anything, 2020 and 2021 have shown us just how much people change.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have the COVID restrictions and everything that they've learned, how many times has it changed? And we got to change our response to it. And you've got these videos.
This is a relevant sidebar we're getting ready to hit.
It is. You've got this video. Have you seen the video of Biden and Pelosi and Fauci, and they're all saying we can't mandate vaccines. That's just not something that you're going to want the federal government to do. And now,
right.
You got them all singing a completely different song because they change.
Well, they blew their credibility, and that's part of the catastrophe and why this is so bad, I think, here, at least in America, is you have the medical professionals, and they just ruin their credibility with everybody by changing, and sometimes changing not based off of any scientific data, just arbitrary.
Right.
It would appear.
Yeah, that video where they said the 6 feet.
Yeah.
The 6 feet distancing was just an arbitrary number.
So no one wants to listen now,
right?
Like, and it may come where there's something where we really do need to listen. Now people aren't going to want to because they don't trust them. But God is not like that,
right?
God never changes, and therefore you can trust Him, right? You can trust His promises. Mm-hmm. So, and that's going to play into a big way when we now let's shift gears and say the writer of Hebrews is applying Psalm 102 to Jesus.
Yep.
Big God theology, creator,
aseity.
He has self-existence in himself.
Right.
Immutability. He never changes. He can't improve because he is perfect, right? That's why he can't change. He's perfect in every attribute that he has. He's eternal.
Right.
Therefore, now hit us with it as it applies to Jesus.
So you can trust in him. So he's writing to these saints who are undergoing heavy trials. They're being persecuted. They're being thrown into jail. They're having their property confiscated. They're being ostracized. And now they're being tempted to go back to Old Testament temple worship.
Yeah.
The animal sacrifices and the Levitical priests and all of the rituals. And his whole point is that here is who Jesus is. He is the God of the Old Testament that has all of these attributes of creator, and he is self-existent. He doesn't change, and he's eternal. Don't fall away from this one. Where are you going to go? You have everything that you need here.
Yeah.
And so you can pray to this one.
Yeah.
When you are afflicted and you are weary and you're faint, you can cry out to Jesus, and he hears you.
Yeah.
And he is this this rock that you can that will support you.
People pray to angels and stuff, man. Some weird.
Yeah, they do. I talked about that last week. The Catholic Church even has their the prayer that they've got, that you can pray to your guardian angel. Yeah.
It's like having access. Like if you had the president on speed dial. This is obviously flawed because Jesus is infinitely greater than the president. But if you had the president on speed dial, right, and you could call him at any time and have his ear, and you were like, you know what? I could call the president, but you know what?
Right.
I'm just gonna call. I've got this Secret Service agent, the one that stands out in the garden and just stares at the fence. I'm gonna call that guy.
Yeah. It's foolish.
It is foolish, right?
Yeah.
You ever wonder, right? Like, what if the angel that the Catholics pray to, or anyone else, maybe they're real. I don't know if they are, because not a lot of angels or their names are listed. I don't know who they pray to, but you ever wonder, they're like, why are you guys, like, what are you guys doing? This is the dumbest thing ever. You could talk to Jesus and you want to talk to me?
Yeah. Listen to this prayer. This is the angel of God prayer. It's pretty weak. They teach it to children, so just keep that in mind.
This is a guardian angel prayer?
This is the angel. It's called the angel of God prayer.
Okay.
You're praying to your guardian angel.
Okay.
Just keep in mind it's a children's prayer.
Mm.
Right. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here, ever this day be at my side to light and guard and rule and guide. Amen.
Okay.
But I mean, this is a legitimate prayer that the Catholic Church is teaching to their kids. And you think, why are you spending time teaching kids this prayer and wasting all of this time and energy on this when you've got the creator of the universe who never changes? He is dependent upon nothing. He is eternal. Pray to him.
Yeah, that's right.
Why are you praying to a lesser being?
Yeah, yeah. Right on.
They can't do anything without the sovereign command of Christ anyway.
Yeah.
So why are you praying to your guardian angel? He's just gonna be like
you're praying to like the guy who is bringing out your the waiter. It's like the waiter comes by, and you're like, "Would you pray for me?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just bringing your food out here."
Yeah,
it's so weird. It's
a trip. I mean, taking that analogy, it would be, praising and complimenting the waiter for how good the food is.
Right.
You're like, well, I just brought it out here.
Right.
The chef is back there. Yeah.
Oh man, the stuff we taught, the kids get taught. You know the prayer, now I lay me down to sleep.
Uh-huh.
I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
Right.
That's if you really think about the words, that's a strange prayer to teach little kids. If I die before I wake, like, oh man, the little kid's gonna die in their sleep.
Well, I think if if I'm, thinking correctly, I think this was a prayer that has a long history back to when
The plague?
the mortality rate was much higher than it is today.
I think that makes sense maybe then.
Where are we going, Jay? Why are we talking about this?
I'm just curious.
I think it's a good prayer. I think it's a good prayer because it reminds us, even at an early age, that you're going to die.
Yeah.
And the modern America hears that and they're like, "That's terrible. You shouldn't be teaching kids that they're going to die." Even though they don't care about killing babies.
Yeah, they don't.
But it reminds us that we're not God.
Yeah.
That we're not infinite. We're finite. That we do change. That we're not eternal. We're going to die. I think it's a good reminder. We need to be reminded more.
Mm-hmm.
If COVID has done anything, it should remind people that you're frail and you're going to die.
When I go to a funeral when I was a kid, or when my kids were younger, I should say, I'd always make them look at the body.
Yeah.
People, they're like, "You're going to traumatize your kid." I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have the most realistic view of the world. You know what I mean?
It's probably more traumatizing to be a 30-year-old and this is the first time that you've seen a dead body.
Right. Nobody wants to, that's why they're avoided today. Like, nobody, as soon as someone dies, they're like, just do everything we can to make sure we never see the body again. And that way we can pretend like they didn't actually die. They just like transported to another realm because people don't want to deal with it.
Well, there's a good book out called Remember Death. Came out a couple of years ago, and one of the things that I still remember, it hit me, was even 50 years ago, people died in their home.
Yeah,
like you didn't get carted off somewhere. You died surrounded by your family. What do we do now? You get put into this sanitary building, and you can kind of be hidden from the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, people don't have to hear you dying. They don't have to see you dying.
Yeah.
It's all hidden.
Right.
And what that's done is that has kind of sanitized death.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't think about it.
Right.
They don't think about it anymore.
They're thinking about it more now, though.
Yeah, but they're not turning to Christ.
Yeah.
Right? They're still not repenting. They're still looking for hope in all the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
But what the author of Hebrews is doing is he is showing the superiority of Christ, and he is calling upon these Christians that are being tempted to abandon Christ for lesser things. Don't abandon him, because here he is.
Yeah.
This is who he is in his very being. Don't think that by going back to the Old Testament that you're going back to Yahweh.
Right.
Here's Yahweh.
Yeah.
He has revealed himself fully in Jesus. If you leave Jesus, you are abandoning all true religion.
It's a great apologetic right up front, Psalm 102.
Yeah. And John says the same thing in 1 John.
Mm-hmm.
The one who doesn't have the Son doesn't have the Father either.
Yeah. All right, then we keep going on in the text. Your second division, your second point comes from verse 13 and 14. Jesus is glorified with God.
Mm-hmm.
This is taken from Psalm 110.
Right.
This text here is taken directly from Psalm 110.
Yeah.
So help us to understand why it's a big deal that Jesus would be glorified with God, that he would sit down at his right hand.
Yeah. And Psalm 110, it's the most quoted Old Testament chapter in the New Testament. Verse 1 is quoted all over the place.
Yeah.
Jesus quotes it. The apostles quote it. Hebrews, this is just the first of many times that we're going to be talking about Psalm 110 as we go through the book of Hebrews. It is that important. This is a psalm about the Messiah, and it starts by David. The superscript says it's of David. The Lord said to my Lord, "Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet." We can just kind of gloss over this. This is important. Now, we hit upon some really big theological doctrines in the sermon. We've been hitting on like big doctrines, the hypostatic union, the incarnation, the deity of Christ. Now we see the Trinity, Jesus is Yahweh, but in Psalm 110, we're reminded he's sitting at the right hand of Yahweh. So we've got two distinct persons, one God, two distinct persons. But what's important for us to understand here is that we are reminded throughout the Bible that God is, he's holy and he's set apart. And in Isaiah, God says, my name is Yahweh. That's my name. I give my glory to no other. God doesn't share his glory with creatures because he's transcendent. Even the greatest of creatures cannot be glorified to the same level as God, which makes this verse super important, right? Because what's happening to Jesus? He's being glorified, right? He's sitting at the right hand of God's throne.
Right.
So he's God's right hand man, right? He is at the place of authority and honor. And this is not a place that's given to anyone else.
Yeah.
And we see that all throughout the scriptures. I went to Revelation chapter 5. And you've got God the Father sitting on this throne. He's got this scroll in his right hand. And who is worthy to open the scroll? No one. Like no one in heaven, no one on earth, no one under the earth. No one is able to open the scroll.
Yeah.
They can't look at it. They can't even take a little peek, right? Except for one. John is weeping, and he's told, don't weep, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, he has overcome, and he is worthy. And here comes this lamb. This is all symbolic pictures. We're supposed to understand this is Jesus, right? And he is able to approach the throne. No one can approach the throne. You don't just walk up to holy God, much less take something out of his hand, right? But here's Jesus. He is able to do just that. He is able to approach the throne and take the scroll. He's able to open it. And when he takes the scroll, what happens? Everyone worships him. If Jesus is anything less than God, this is idolatry.
Right.
And I think that we forget this. We lower the holiness of God to the point that we think, well, angels are just as important. They're just as strong and just we've got this this sliding scale. Well, you got some angels down here, but you got angels up here, and they're right next to Jesus.
Yeah.
There's not this big difference, but there's this infinite chasm between angels and God, and not even this mighty angel that is crying out, who is worthy to take the scroll. He's not worthy. This powerful angel, he's not worthy. Only one is worthy, and it's the Son of God. And so he's able to approach. And so he sits at the right hand of God. This is important because, again, the Hebrews or the Hebrew saints, they're being persecuted by enemies. They're being ostracized by the enemies of the church. Pretty soon they're going to be hunted down and even martyred for the faith. They need to be reminded that Jesus is sitting at the right hand of God, and he's waiting for his enemies to be be made a footstool for his feet. Like this is hope for the church, and it's hope for us today. That despite all of the enemies that the church is surrounded by, Jesus is still sitting on the throne, and his enemies are being made a footstool for his feet. That's not a throwaway doctrine. That's and it's not just hyperbole. It's not just poetic expression. Jesus is actually subduing his enemies. And that's good news for his saints that are suffering.
Good.
But this isn't said about angels.
Right.
Angels, this is never applied to angels.
Yeah.
And that's the point of verse 14. They're ministering spirits. They're sent out to serve. They're not sitting on the throne. The angels aren't sitting down. Jesus is.
Yeah.
Jesus is the one who's ruling. the angels are the ones who are serving.
Yeah, that's good. All right, that's awesome. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Thanks, George. What are we? Give us a preview for next time.
We're gonna look at the first warning passage.
Okay, that'll be good.
In chapter 2, verses 1 through 4.
All right,
So
and the book kind of is
that.
organized around these. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be good. Thanks for that. It's a good sermon, encouraging. Hopefully, this is beneficial to you, and it's been an encouragement to you. If it has, please like, subscribe, and share. Maybe write us a review. Pass this along to your friends. It's our hope and our desire that this would help you to see Christ better, to know Him better. But the ultimate goal is that you be more and more conformed to Christ. So hopefully, this has been beneficial, and we'll see you next time.